when they saw us with the drones and the tracks, they were looking at us going, how did you get the permission for this? It was really a big thing that happened because it never happened in history before. We was mentioned in Parliament, we was in The Guardian, in The Times. It was incredible. You couldn't imagine that level of success, right? My work is a continuation of my faith.
I'm your host, Kazi Shafiqur Rahman, and our guest today is Brother Abrar Hussain.
I went through a lot of strife in that time, and the UK as a whole, and you probably know this as well, went through a recession. Marketing budgets were cut. So I was just creatively at a dead end and financially at a dead end.
I wouldn't wish that on any man or woman.
And it was suddenly just like a real struggle to get any work at all. We have to make our own movies more now than ever.
Who's going to take the lead? Who's going to do it?
Bro, my dad's been on my case for the last week. I need to send him money in Bangladesh.
So what's stopping you, bro?
Bro, it's long. The queues are endless. And have you seen where they're located? Red routes, nowhere to park. Nah, man.
Why don't you use what I use?
What do you use?
Basically, it's this app that I use. It's called Taptap Send. And bro, it's a game changer. I don't have to go to these money transfer shops. I don't have to wait in the queues and I don't have to get a parking fine. It's all on my phone. And I can use my card to send money back home instantly.
So what's the catch?
There is no catch. In fact, it's quite the opposite. No hidden fees, no transfer fees, and on top, if you use the KSR code, you get £20 credit.
Say no more. £20, yeah? I'm gonna download the app right now. My dad's gonna love me for this.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Problem solved. Now let's get inside. We've got a killer episode to record.
Before we begin today's episode, which is going to be jam-packed with super cool discussions and conversations as you have seen on the trailer, I have one request. Please, please, please do consider subscribing to our channel on the platform you are tuned into, because your subscription goes long, long, long way for us. And the bigger the platform gets, the bigger the guest gets. So, with that said, let's get straight into the show. Brother Abrar Hussain, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Side by Side. Are you looking forward to Ramadan? I mean, I don't know when this is going to be released, but tomorrow could be the first Ramadan.
Mashallah, mashallah. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it and actually prepared myself this year as well a little bit more by start reading Quran early and start doing these things early and prepping myself. I have to gear myself up mentally because, I have a few bad vices such as coffee, which I always try and prepare for those, else it comes as a big shock on the first day. So I'm trying to mitigate that shock for the first day. 'Cause, after you get in a roll 2, 3, 4 days, then everything's calm. But the first few days for someone who's a coffee drinker is very hard.
How many cups of double espresso, whatever it is?
No, I have lattes. I only have lattes, but I have one as soon as I wake up. So as soon as I wake up, first thing I do, coffee, and that brings me to life kind of thing. So without that, it's going to be very difficult to start my day. It always is on the first few days of Ramadan. But yeah, inshallah, we have to prepare as best we can.
And how many cups do you have per day in a normal day, coffee?
It varies depending how busy I am. If I'm just at home, maximum 2 cups. If I'm at home, one kind of at 9 and then maybe another one at 11. After that, I won't drink it for the rest of the day. But if I'm out, like a day like today where I've had a few meetings and then gone Jummah and then like obviously now having this podcast with you, got a meeting after that, then I might end up having 5, maybe 6 cups in a day.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty bad.
Whoa. I'm a coffee drinker. I love coffee. Double espresso when we met at your screening, you've seen, you know what? Double espresso is not because I want to have a double espresso. There's a commercial reason behind it.
What's the commercial reason?
Like when you go to a coffee shop, like they add milk and they add this and that, and then the price goes up to like 4 something or 3 something. I'm like, ultimately, all I want is the coffee in my body.
Yeah,
I don't want milk.
You want that hit? Okay.
So then I thought, you know what? Double espresso is a lot cheaper without the milk.
I admire your thinking, your business-minded thinking. Mashallah. It's good, yeah.
But I do treat myself to a mocha here and there. If I'm not on a cut in terms of my carbs. Before we begin, can you tell our audience, in your own words, what do you do?
So I'm a film producer, a film director. I run a film production company called Red Face Films, and before anyone asks, that's all we do is produce films. We don't do any other form of content or any other kind of music videos or things like that, events filming, none of that. All we do is produce films. That's
what's the difference? I mean, is there a difference?
It's short form content and long form content. So short form content, obviously it goes out, Instagram is full of it. You've got this really cool 1-minute films and really cool 2-minute like pieces. And they're pieces of content and they go and they can go viral because, people want instant gratification these days. So this is what the social media market is, and I'm not into that instant gratification. I produce long pieces. Most of my films are like an hour and a half or an hour and a half plus. So it's a real and I suppose the other distinction with us and what we do at Red Face Films and a majority of kind of content creators out there is we produce films for cinemas. So all of our content goes onto cinema screens first. And that's always like a big draw for me because the cinema is what I love, and that's where I like to see my films up on. Afterwards they can do the social media, YouTube, and they can do streaming platforms and all the rest of it. Broadcast channels. We've been distributed across so many different platforms, even airlines as well. But the cinema is where it's at for me. I just love seeing an audience.
I always get fascinated how the cinema, I guess the distribution works. Obviously, we understand there's commercial reasons and stuff, but from a technical point of view, so you've made a film. What are the checks and checks you have to go through for it to be cinema ready? Like, what are we looking for?
I mean, first it has to just be shot in a cinematic way.
Okay.
Like, there's different styles of shooting. Like, say, if you're doing a short piece for content, like how many big wide shots are you going to put in there? How many establishing shots are you going to put in there? But if you're doing something for cinema, you can really take your time. You can build a flow, so the pacing of the thing is much different because people are just it's instant gratification. That's what it is. People want bang, 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 and get to the point. Where's the hook? Like where's the catch? Where's the sales pitch? Where's the ask? All these different things. With a film, it's much more. It's kind of much more subtle. You're building, lulling the audience in, and you've got enough time to basically create a vibe around that.
You're setting the frame. You're setting the context.
You're setting everything. You're setting the whole mood of the audience. You're taking them along, then you're taking them up on a high, and then you're bringing them right down with a very depressing or sad scene or something that really tugs at their heartstrings, and then you're bringing them back up. And it's it's very. I think the pacing is what I spend most time thinking about when I'm editing. It's all in the post production. So when I'm editing a film, I'm thinking, is this scene really slowing the film down? Is it too slow? Do I need to speed things up? Do I need some quick cuts there? So that kind of pace, because it's a journey. You're taking them on an hour and a half journey. You're my guest for an hour and a half when you come to see one of my films. So I want to make sure you're entertained. And obviously being here's the thing. We need to stop this conversation right here. Did I say I was a film producer director? I did, didn't I? Yeah. What I meant to say was I'm an Islamic film producer director, which there's a big distinction.
No Hollywood,
in that.
no Bollywood, none of that.
No, bro. My work is a continuation of my faith. So I'm an Islamic film producer. That's all I produce. I'm only interested in Muslim audiences. I'm very happy if non-Muslims come to see my product. Nothing makes me happy. We got the deal with Amazon Prime. Nothing made me happier than that when One Day in the Haram went up on Amazon Prime, because it was so many non-Muslims were exposed to it, and that's a great form of dawah, like one of the greatest forms of dawah. But for me, Muslims are my core audience. I'm making it for my people. I just love us. So I everything I make is for
amazing.
For
So technicality-wise, so you've made the film, everything is good. You've done a test with a batch of people. They've watched it. They loved it. All good to go.
Yeah.
What do cinemas look for, like from a technical point of view? Like, okay, Abrar, you need to make sure this aspect ratio, whatever it is, like what are those things?
So it has to be obviously the right size. It has to be, you shoot mostly for cinema. You shoot in 4K. Although the cinema screens don't project in 4K, it's actually 2K. But we'd shoot it in 4K. Then the post production, the mastering of it, the sound mix. In cinemas, there's obviously big surround speakers, so you'd want a Dolby surround sound mix in there, which is 6 different channels. Where normally you're putting something out, it's just 2 channels. It's stereo. So this is some technical talk. But I suppose one of the main things that people don't understand about cinemas, you have to produce what's called a DCP. It's a digital cinema package, I think, DCP. To produce a DCP, you have to go through a process. It's a very big file, but the projectors at cinemas can only play DCPs, so they can't just play like anything off that projector. So you might as well.
Is it quite old school? Is it because it's quite old school, or
it's not? It's not old school. It's the latest thing that everyone uses.
Okay,
the latest
DCP.
thing. Yeah, DCP is the latest thing. But it's been around for about 10 years, I think, or 10 years plus, where this has become the standard format, not just here but all over the world. So digital cinema projectors all over the world.
So you have to put it in that format.
Yeah.
In that format, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, then you're good to go. You got your sound mix. Now, you can have different qualities, obviously, on there. You can produce something that is very, very poor produced on a DCP, and it will go on the cinema. It's not going to sound good. It's not going to look good. So therefore, it's not good.
So when the sound goes like from one side to the other side, like imagine there's an action movie and then it's going around.
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen? Is it because the way they've filmed it, or
no?
How do they
that's
do
because of how the sound mix has been done. So, for example, I'll give you an example that's more closely related to our films. the azan. Well, we had this very memorable scene in One Day in the Haram where the azan just filled the cinema halls, right? So all you can hear is this azan, very loud, very powerful, from Mecca, no less, from the muazzin at Mecca. And we pulled this sound in from behind the audience. So because when you do the sound mix for the Dolby, you have 6 different channels. So they're left, right, center. So depending where you place it in the sound mix, that's where it's going to come from. That's where the audience are going to first hear it. So we brought it from the left and then we enveloped it all around. So then suddenly it was coming from everywhere. Has a very big effect. So people don't think about the sound in that way. We spend a lot of time thinking about the sound and where the effects are going to come in, where the the music is going to come in. Obviously, none instrument music, of course, or vocal only music, and all these things combined just enrich the experience for the viewer at cinema. These little nuances you wouldn't even think about if you're making something for TV, because you know it's just going to be a stereo mix. It's going to come out of 2 speakers. So who's really going to notice it? But in the cinema, that really adds to your experience. You know, it really makes it a really a complete experience at the cinema.
So Islamic filmmaker and producer, One Day in Haram is one of the notable work that you've done. And has Brother Akmal have anything to do with this this project?
Brother Akmal from Brand 786.
Salim, yeah.
Yeah, he was there at the start. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
He was part of it.
So how did that come about? What made you think, or the group of you think, okay, let's do a film about Haram?
I mean, it was obvious, wasn't it? I mean, wasn't it obvious?
Obviously,
was it groundbreaking?
It's obvious.
It was groundbreaking in terms of no one had ever done it before.
Exactly.
And it was actually my idea to do it. Akmal and his team were part of the team that brought it to life. But initially, with ideas, I mean, you're an ideas man, I think, as well. I think you'll know. You see, when you're discussing ideas and you can sit and you're going to be with a marketing team or whatever, you can all sit around, you can have ideas. But generally, an idea is going to come from one person.
Yeah.
One person has the idea.
Yeah.
Other people might then build on that idea, but one person has the spark. It comes from an individual. It doesn't come from a group.
No.
So that spark, when I had it, it just seemed obvious. And the reasoning behind it was that we've had these holy places for 1,400 years, these incredible, incredible places. And yet no one's made a film on them, a feature-length film that is of the quality that is capable to go on cinemas around the world. So that was the thinking. We need to do this because it's never been done before. And I think, obviously, you again being a marketing guy as well, if something's never been done before, then it's definitely worth doing because that's what's going to make it original because it's never been done before. So it's a very original concept, and also it'd never been done in terms of the way we wanted to do it. So it's not a case of no one had ever filmed in the Haram before, but no one had that depth of access that we had, that complete unadulterated access, 24/7. And that's what we managed to achieve with that film, which is why, I think it was such a big hit with the Muslim audiences all over the world. That film's been watched by 100 million people now, which is an incredible number, yeah.
Where are they watching it from?
So all the distribution channels. Okay. So with One Day in the Haram, obviously the first thing was the cinemas. We did cinema tours wherever we could, all in multiple different countries. After that, broadcast deals came in, so TV deals. So, for example, now we spend a lot of time targeting markets in Indonesia and Malaysia. We've got big, huge Muslim audiences there. And we did a deal with SCTV. It's a broadcaster. It's like the BBC of Indonesia, right? So obviously they got hold of the film. We did a licensing deal with them. They translated the film into their own language, and then they broadcast it on the day of Eid. They broadcast on the day of Eid, and they got an audience of 10 million in one day, in one screening. Wow. So I was like, subhanAllah, I've been going around all these cinemas. As I mentioned before, I love the cinemas, right? Who doesn't love the cinemas? But when I heard that number, I was incredulous. Like, you can't even imagine what 100 million, 10 million looks like. That's a big number of people to watch in one day. So I was like, subhanAllah, I was like to the team, we need to do more broadcast deals because this is the way to get to the audience. So we start doing a lot of broadcast deals, and, we had broadcasts on national broadcasters in Saudi, in Turkey, multiple different countries. I can't remember some of the other, Malaysia. And then once we'd done that, there was the streaming platforms. Obviously, they came along. So One Day in the Haram went on Amazon Prime. It was on Prime membership for like 2 years, and then it's still on Prime now, and it's also on Apple TV as well. And then there's smaller little boutique deals that we did because we were just exploiting every deal because the drive was Muslims want to see this. Let's make it possible for them. Let's put it in front of them where it's accessible to them. So everything from airlines to like screenings in schools, in Islamic schools. People were talking to me about making it part of the curriculum, like making it a must-see for non-Muslims as well. That film reached an awful lot of non-Muslims. As I say, that was one of the things that made me really, really happy. But I did do it for Muslims. I wanted Muslims to enjoy this.
And logistically, how did that go down?
What do you mean logistically?
The filming and gaining the access,
when we filmed it,
and
the
behind the scenes stuff.
I mean,
walk us through. Like,
I get asked this question, Kazi, more than any other question is how. And just to illustrate that, like even when we were in the Haram filming, we walk around. These people in the Haram, when they saw us with the drones and the tracks and the dollies and the big cameras and the lenses, walking in with a 30-man team, right? They were looking at us, going, how did you get the permission for this? Like, who authorized this?
Yeah.
And they were incredulous to it as well. So it was really, I suppose, looking back on it, it was really a big thing that happened because it never happened in history before. And the way we did it had never been happened. And the fact that the result came out looking so beautiful that, non-Muslims were mesmerized, Muslims were mesmerized, critics were mesmerized. Everyone was mesmerized by this film. And it was just an incredible response. So logistically, I mean, it was a lot of planning, but all that I remember is just being in a bubble in Mecca, in front of the Kaaba, and Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just making everything easy. Not even difficult, just easy for us. Even the things that seemed most difficult just became easy on the day. It was incredible. And obviously, I have to give all credit for the success of that film and the permission to actually make that film to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I know a lot there's a lot of this you're on a podcast, I'm talking to you, we've got to be a little bit modest, a little bit humble, and I am a humble guy, I am genuinely very humble, but that film, it was incredible for me to make that. I'm not capable to make that, it's not in my capability to make something that beautiful, something that looks that outstanding, and so I have to give all credit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I always say to people, we tried 8 months it took us to get those permissions. 8 months. Yeah, just knocking on doors, trying to get these permissions to film in the Haram.
So who gives it?
Not in a little, because you could film in the Haram and you could have a little permission and say, yeah, just come and film for a day. No, we don't want to film for a day. We want full access. We want access
We're
to
be
everyone.
Yeah,
we're going to be camping there. We're going to be there for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, and we want every door to be open to us. That's a different type of permission. I know I could have done something little. That was open to us right from early, after basically knocking on a few doors. Yeah, come bring your little DSLR, whatever. No, that's not what we want. We want to bring big equipment in there. We want to make it look cinematic. We want to put it on cinemas all over the world. So for this, we had to go right to the top, and we ended up speaking to Sheikh Sudais.
So he's in charge of both of the harams.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. He was in charge of both of the harams, and it was incredible. When we went in there and I pitched Sheikh Sudais, so this what
you sat in front of him?
Yeah, we sat in front of him and pitched him directly because, they'd said that, give us the proposal and we will talk. You don't get to talk. I was like, nah, because I know that no one can pitch the film the way I can. Mm-hmm. If I'm the director of a film, I've come out with this concept. No one's going to be able to talk about it the way I can. They don't have that authority to talk about it. So the way they're going to pitch it is going to be a watered down pitch, and Sheikh is not going to understand it properly. So I said, no, it has to be me. So they got me in front of the Sheikh. I told him exactly this, and all he said was, okay, alhamdulillah. Yes, that's all he said. And then, he got up, we took a nice photo with him. I took a nice photo with the Sheikh, and he walked off. But the really funny thing was, as soon as he went, it's like his little minions. He has lots of minions around him. Mm-hmm. They all came surrounding me. Okay, what do you want, brother? What do you want? He basically said yes.
So, alhamdulillah, done.
He didn't sign anything. He didn't give any instructions to anyone. He just said to me, yes, okay, alhamdulillah. And he gone, yeah? The minions came to me and they were like, what do you want? Tell us. And I started giving them a massive, long list of things. And they didn't refuse anything. Alhamdulillah, they didn't refuse anything. I have to give a lot of credit to those brothers at the Haram, especially Riyasat Al-Haramain, the media department of the Haram. They facilitated everything. They opened every door for us. And it was just incredible working with those guys. We had a real team effort, between a very multi-national crew, people from UK coming, people from Saudi, people from Sudan, people from Syria, all made up different facets of the crew. And then obviously the Riyasat department was mostly Saudi Arabian. It was just a great team effort, yeah.
Who paid for it?
Who paid for it? So it had a very strong budget, right? So obviously the money is always like a thing. I don't talk about the money too much. I have people who do that for me. Even now we're negotiating deals, right? There's big deals. I'm like, ugh, it's just you probably like talking about. No. You like talking about the money, right? You look because you're a business guy, right? I'm not a business guy. I'm a creative guy.
Creative guy. I know. Creative. They just want to get on with the job and get creative.
Yeah. I just want to do what I do, which I love to do, right? So I can talk about the money. Obviously, I know everything because obviously you have to do that.
Was it investors that invested in it, or was it donations?
No. There was no investors. It wasn't like that. With a film like this, it was unique in every way. So even the where the money came from and the investment in it was unique as well. We basically were approached by someone from the Al-Raji Foundation.
Okay.
They'd heard we were making this film because the project generated a lot of
noise. So you've already made progress. You want to do it. You want to go and pitch it. You've got probably the approval.
Remember, we went around knocking on doors, so many doors. So a lot of people in Saudi were hearing heat about this film. They're hearing something big is coming from the Haram, right?
Okay.
It started growing this groundswell of support, right? So Al-Raji Foundation heard about it, and their guy came and approached us, and they were like, okay, well, how are you financing this? We said, well, we don't really know.
We don't know yet.
We haven't got to that point yet. We're just, we've got the concept. This is what we'd like to do. And as long as you get the permissions, we'll get the money. Don't worry about that. And he said, okay, and he write out a check for £100,000 towards the cost of the film. And it was just, mashallah, a great moment because we hadn't expected that. And it kind of came out of the blue, and it's like, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing this, right? So everything is a blessing for us. And as I say, we were in this bubble in Mecca where when things like that happen, you just have to thank the Almighty, right? Because that's
100K like just coming out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. No one's ever offered me 100K for a project before.
Well, you'd have to go on like crowdfund, like 1,500, this, that.
I've been grinding here in the UK for years and years and years. No one in all that time, in like 20 years of making projects, had offered me 100K for a project. And so this guy, this is the funny thing, even more funny than that he gave the money. I turned around to him and I said, well, what do you want? And I was thinking, okay, this guy's going to get into a business discussion. Yeah. It's going to be like equity. It's going to be percentage shares.
Things around.
It's going to be this and that. And I was like, oh God, I wonder what he's going to say. And the guy told, no, we don't want anything. We don't want anything. All we want, he said, and he looked me in the eye and he's like, we want you to guarantee us that you're going to take this film to every corner of the world, that everyone in the world is going to see this. I was like, subhanAllah. I was like, yeah, that's exactly my intention. I have a good intention, and that is exactly my intention. So that's why it was a perfect marriage for us, that they wanted to show the Haram to the world, and I also wanted to show the Haram to the world, and not just show the Haram, but show it in a beautiful way, in a way that had never been seen or perceived as before, So we were just on a really balanced playing field. So alhamdulillah.
How long did it take from the moment Sheikh Sudais said alhamdulillah, till you were finished with the film?
Sheikh Sudais said alhamdulillah after 8 months. Okay. So count that 8 months, and then it took maybe a year after that. So I'd say altogether you could say about 18 months from concept to completion. The film, 18 months.
And what year was it that you started?
So I had the original idea in 2015.
Okay.
Because, that was the whole reason I was in Saudi. I lived in Saudi for 3 years, but I was only going to stay in Saudi if something could happen with the Haram. And I'd said that when they were negotiating out there, because they just wanted a producer out there, right? So they wanted me to come out to Saudi, live in Saudi so I could make their little, brand films or whatever it was they do, right? And it wasn't interesting for me. It was boring for me. I don't like that kind of corporate work, right? So, but I said, I'll do it, but only if you can guarantee me we're going to make a film in the Haram. So that was the trade-off. I stayed there. I produced a lot of good stuff for them in Saudi. I produced...
them as in who?
Them as in the Saudi organization,
okay.
Because I was under Iqama. They took me out there under Iqama to work there as a Saudi producer, and we produced multiple projects.
Okay.
We did so many great projects and projects that were big hits on Saudi TV as well. We had actually one of the shows I did with it was in Ramadan, actually, funny because we're just about to start Ramadan. It was Sheikh Magamsi, and he's a very famous sheikh in Saudi, like a well-loved sheikh in Saudi. We did a series of 30 episodes of him, one for every day of Ramadan, and it became the biggest thing on Saudi TV, the highest top-rated show on Saudi TV that year, which was 2017.
Mashallah, you've done a lot.
Incredible.
While you're out there.
Alhamdulillah, yeah. We didn't waste any time out there.
Where are you from, by the way?
Originally, Pakistan.
Pakistan, which part?
Jhelum, my folks from.
Jhelum, that's Kashmir side, right?
Yeah, Kashmir side, yeah.
Yeah, mashallah, a lot of rich people are from there.
You would know. Again, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I do, with the finance thing, yeah. I just want to make clear, like, when you're working, if you want your projects to go big, you have to get involved in finance. You have to talk money with people. And I do talk money with people. In fact, extraordinary amount of my day is taken talking money and figures and deals with people, because obviously you're negotiating deals the whole time. How am I getting one day in the Haram out to 100 million people? I'm not doing that without negotiating. But I have a team, and I generally have someone, once I've done the bath, you've done the initial discussion phase. You said, okay, you've agreed the amount, you've agreed the term, you've agreed the heads of terms, right? So then I'm just like, talk to this guy, like he's going to deal with it, and don't talk to me, and not in that rude way. Don't talk to me anymore, but leave me alone now. Like, you
let me get creative.
Let me do my work, because you only have a limited amount of time. My feeling is, I don't know if you feel the same. You only have a limited amount of time in this world, and I want to make films, and there's so many films for me to make. I don't want to waste time talking about money. I don't want to waste time thinking about that or thinking about how things are going to be. I'm out here trying to create a legacy for myself, as well as bring these films to millions of Muslims around the world. And there are millions of Muslims around the world who want to see these films. So alhamdulillah, I'm just working towards that. Limited amount of time on this world. We can't waste it. We can't waste it. Yeah.
Listen, what did you study as?
This is funny. I studied business IT, so nothing to do with filmmaking. Yeah, nothing to do with filmmaking. But my roots were that I just loved the camera. I was that kid. You must have seen a stereotype somewhere of a kid who's holding a camcorder, go around filming everything. Yeah, that was me at 10 years old. I was that stereotype, and genuinely was that stereotype. I used to film everything at 10 years old, just with the camcorder, and loved the camcorder. Loved the little technical aspects of the camcorder. At 10 years old.
What was your first camcorder?
It was a Sony. Yeah, I can't remember the model number, but it was a Sony.
That shutter sound. Oh my God. Days.
It was just an incredible. And the funny thing is, that Sony camcorder I had when I was 10, which is going back like 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's still working.
Wow.
Man,
you still have it?
I still have it. I keep it safe. It's like a memento for me, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I keep it safe in my house.
So business
Never use
and
it
IT,
anymore, but
business and IT.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked in business and IT? What was your first job?
I never worked in business or IT either, really. My first job was as a manager for the 3 network. You remember the mobile network?
The 3, yeah.
Yeah. So I came out of university, graduate trainee management scheme, whatever, with the 3 network. Hutchison
what
Telecom.
University, sorry?
I was at Kingston.
Kingston, and then graduate scheme into 3.
Yeah.
And you became a manager of what, a store or
yeah, like a store, yeah, like a retail store, yeah. And I was just managing a staff. I mean, at one point we had like a staff of like 10 people. I was managing all these guys, and I was managing the figures, and I was a sales guy.
It's quite intense, isn't it? Like the KPI system.
At that time, because we're thinking the mobile phone market back in 2006,
yeah,
I remember
when
booming.
those 3 phones came out. Oh,
everyone just wanted phones, and the market was just so, it was like picking apples off a tree. I used to love sales, so and I could speak. Like I always had this talent, mashallah, of communication and for speaking, and so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just blessed me with that talent to go and sell. So and I still use that. I use that.
You don't just speak. You speak well, mashallah. Like
I think I speak too fast. Everyone tells me I talk too fast.
No, you speak well. Like we can understand, and I'm sure the viewers will understand what you're saying. It's very clear.
Good.
That's the main part. So.
Oh,
3 phones. I remember Motorola. Those Motorola's and 3 phones.
Man. Yeah, the phones at that time, Nokia. Nokia was killing it at that time. The 3 phones were the Flip, the Razor phone. If I remember, there was the slimline phone that came out. My God, people went mad for that phone.
I had a Razor. I had a Razor,
and it was such a thin phone. No one had ever seen anything like it. And it's just incredible where that has come. That's where my journey started in terms of business or commerce, and that. Where that journey has ended up to the phones we're holding now, where all I try and do is protect myself from my phone the whole time. Else you'd be on it all the time, wasting your day. So I have periods where I keep my phone. I turn my phone on at certain times. I keep my phone away from me at certain times, or especially if I'm looking to get something done to a deadline. We work high pressure, a lot of deadlines. Everything has to be on time, because if it goes over a deadline, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So you want to keep things on deadline.
And when you're working on a project, you've got so many people, like someone to even maybe hold a cup as well, like okay, not as bad, but you've got people, someone for everything.
Yeah, someone for everything. That's on the shoot. On the shoot, it's very intense. Say, for example, one day in the Haram, we had over 100 people working. Very important aspects of that film, and to coordinate all of them is part of your job, right? That's part of it. But say for One Night in Al-Aqsa, the film we shot in Jerusalem, we had 7 different sets of 3-man camera teams. So 21 people just in camera teams. That's like the camera, the assistant, and the sound guy. Yeah. So we put them in units of 3, and we sat them around different areas of the Al-Aqsa compound to get different types of scenes. So that was a different kind of job, and it was a different set of people and a different set of challenges. So each project has a different set of challenges, and I recruit the project team, the people who are going to work with me, dependent on their skills, because you get to know people very well. You see what their skills are, what they can handle, and what they're really good at. So obviously you bring in people whose skills complement the product that you're trying to make.
I remember you from Islam Channel. That's how I know you.
Love Islam Channel, man. Love Islam
How
Channel.
I
Love
mean,
Muhammad
was it
Ali.
from 3 you kind of got involved with
So
Islam
I
Channel
was at
in
3.
its early days? Or?
I didn't mention this at 3. I was a very good salesman, so
Okay.
I wasn't. I was good, right? Alhamdulillah, bless me, yeah. But I was smashing targets. I mean, on a national level, I was just smashing targets. So I was getting some big bonuses. I was making some nice money, okay. And alhamdulillah, money when you're 23, 24 is very important to you.
Yeah.
So I'm making some nice money. Alhamdulillah, this is really good. Everything's great. Met Muhammad Ali at Islam Channel. I was also the treasurer of my local mosque in Red Hill. I was the elected treasurer, and through doing that, we did a small competition. It was a Qiraat competition.
Yes.
Quran reading, and we brought a few judges from different countries to come.
Did Brother
And
Rizwan have anything to
Bro,
do with
he was there. He was one of
Yeah.
the judges. He was one of the judges. He wasn't obviously involved in the planning, but he was one of the judges. It was the first time I met him, who's become a dear friend now, Brother Rizwan. And Brother Rizwan, as you know, just a few weeks ago, completed the Al-Aqsa tour with Al-Hidmat, which was just selling out all over the country, like just a few weeks
Amazing.
ago.
I
So
mean, he was one of
alhamdulillah,
our-
he worked with me on my first documentary project, me and Brother Rizwan in Pakistan, and he's supported me in the last one, just taking one night in Al-Aqsa all over the UK. So
Amazing.
incredible.
So
But-
Brother Rizwan, so Qiraat
yeah,
competition.
going back to Islam Channel, yeah, the Quran competition, and they'd invited Muhammad Ali. No, they hadn't invited him to be a judge. He wasn't a judge on that, but they'd invited him as the guest of honor, and they'd invited him to screen this, to bring his cameras and screen it, film it, and put it on Islam Channel. So he basically came and he did that, and it was a beautiful event. I took a lot of enjoyment from that event, because we really brought the community. And it was the first event our masjid had done. Our masjid never
So it
done
was
event.
in your mosque.
No, it wasn't in our mosque, but
Okay.
it was organised by our mosque.
Okay.
The mosque was organised it for the local community,
Okay.
and it was in a big hall, actually,
Okay.
a big theatre hall.
Okay.
So it had a really nice stage, really nice setup. We're beautifully done, and beautifully organised competition. We spent a lot of time on it. It was, it was the big thing for us. The first event for the community. Met Brother Muhammad Ali there. I just thought he was a beautiful brother. I just really liked him. He really liked me as well. And we basically said, "Oh, we'll stay in contact." And he's like, "Come and see me at Islam Channel." So so I basically sat down. I had a concept for a show. So I came out with this concept, and I was like, "This is a really great concept. I love it." I started showing it to people. No one liked it. No one. It wasn't that they didn't like it. Like people like MCB and these other organizations that were there, big organizations, they were like, "This is never going to happen," because you think it was a concept about mosques. And it was saying that we'll go into mosques and we'll basically open up all their doors and we'll film everything, and we'll find out what's the best mosque in the UK. It's a competition
Yeah.
to find the best mosque in
Yes.
the UK. It was called Model Mosque.
Yes,
So
I
this was
remember.
my-
That's
you
the
remember that?
project I remember
Okay.
you from.
So-
That is
so-
the specific project I remember.
Mashallah. Well-
So your name is synonymous with the model mosque
with
in my
mosques
mind.
generally in the UK,
Yeah.
because we traveled mosques up and down the country researching them, finding out the best mosque, and Muhammad Ali was the only one out of all these people like, no, this is never going to work. Mosques are never going to give you permission to go in there. Muhammad Ali was the only one who had the vision to believe in that and say, hey, that's a good idea. Let's make this. So he helped us make that show. I produced, directed, wrote. I even hosted that show. I did everything for that show because we're on such low budgets that we're doing everything. So I was filming, then editing, then hosting, all this. It was incredible, entry into kind of the media world. And Muhammad Ali basically facilitated that for me. So I'm very grateful. And obviously, in return, I produced him the most successful show ever on Islam Channel,
Really?
which was Model Mosque, which we just smashed every single parameter of success in terms of shows on Islam Channel. It just in terms of the audience participation, the amount of people who watched it, the amount of people who heard about it, the media recognition. For the first time at Islam Channel, BBC came down there. Say, hey, you made a show called Model Mosque. We want to talk about it. Channel 4 came down there. We was on Newsnight. We was mentioned in Parliament. We was in The Guardian, in The Times. And not just that. We was international as well. But news crews came from Australia to interview us about that show, from Saudi Arabia to interview us about a little show made in the UK. So it was incredible. You couldn't imagine that level of success, right? It was just, and that was my first show.
So that's so from selling phones effectively and contracts. Was that your entry into media world, like in a professional
Yeah, that was
level?
my first professional show. Although, as I said, I was running around with a camcorder from
Yeah,
10,
yeah.
remember? So I had honed my craft. By the time I got to Islam Channel, I was ready made. I was ready to go. You know, I knew everything. I knew more than the current producers who were there. I knew more, even though they'd been in the field for several years or whatever. But you know, and I just entered. But through self-teaching myself, through just playing with the camcorder, finding out what all these technical buttons do, finding out how to do editing. You know, I taught all these things to myself. So by the time I came to Islam Channel with that concept, I was ready to go.
Ready to
And
go,
mashallah, the success of the show was just incredible.
So
for
the
that time.
show finished, and was that did that mean like you also kind of stopped working with Islam Channel?
No,
What's the time difference between that show and One Day in Haram? Like how many years gap?
So that show was launched in 2007, and One Day in the Haram was launched essentially end of 2017. So 10 years exactly, almost 10
Wow.
years.
And what happened in between that time with your life?
So
what were you doing?
I went through an incredible journey in that time. I went through a lot of strife in that time. I went, for example, through a divorce in that time. I went through, we went, and the UK as a whole, and you probably know this as well, went through a recession during those years as well. So, and you know, when a recession happens, the first thing to go is the marketing budget. So whereas I'd left Islam Channel, set up my own production company, and you know, for a couple of years, it was like really good. As I say, was filming events, was doing all this stuff. I was on the books of a lot of NGOs. So a lot of NGOs, they would send me all over the world, and I'd happily go and film their charity projects out there. So, you know, some hard to go places like Somalia, Egypt, Ethiopia, you know, these kind of places, Mali in the desert with Imams, Shahid Zakour, I remember. You know, a lot of hard to go places, and we'd basically gone there and we'd filmed these projects, and they'd come back and use them to raise millions of pounds for fundraising. So all going really well. Recession hits, I can't remember when, maybe around 2012.
2008, 9.
Yeah, there was that, and then there was another one in 2012. I think between 2008 and 2012, it was actually going very, very well. Like the Islamic events were kicking off. There was so much life in the Islamic field. Because remember, I was only making Islamic product. I wasn't going into the mainstream. So then, that kind of seemed to dry up. Marketing budgets were cut. You know, so people's filming budgets were cut, and it was suddenly just like a real struggle to get any work at all. And especially the kind of projects I wanted to do was, you know, if you're going and you're trying to get a big budget for an Islamic production in the UK, go back 10 years, 2014, they would laugh you out of their offices. You know, you go to Channel 4 or something, say, hey man, I've got this really good concept about this Islamic show, and no, it's not a show where we're gonna, you know, make fun out of Muslims. It's not a show where we're going to show Muslims are terrorists. No, it's not that kind of show. No, it's a really positive show about Muslims. And they'd be like, get the hell out of it. You know, there would be no conversation. It just wouldn't go anywhere. It was just impossible. So things were like just at a dead end kind of thing. And so I had all this creativity. I was brimming with confidence in terms of my production capability, but I was just like a big fish in a very small pond. There was just nothing. You know, all there was event jobs. You can film this event. You know, and we did film a lot of events. You know, GPU, Eid in the Square, Islamic Expo, all the big Islamic events. We'd been media partners on all of them. So we'd done all of that. And you know, I'm always looking for something new. I'm always trying to push forward. I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over. So I was just creatively at a dead end and financially at a dead end as well, because I went through a divorce. So obviously that's just a terrible thing to go through, and I don't wish that on anyone because it's very, very difficult.
Absolutely
Went
not.
through the divorce, you know, came out on the other side, just not even wanting to be in the UK. And then that's when the call came to come to Saudi. So I mean, it was just incredible, the timing of it. I was like, look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. He's like just basically picked me up from London and dropped me in Mecca. And all of a sudden I was in Mecca. And believe me, Kazi, for the first 3 months that I was in Saudi Arabia, almost every day I'd be walking. You know, Saudi Arabia has a lot of palm trees, right?
Yeah.
Walking, I was in Hubbar, beautiful area of Saudi, Hubbar, yeah, beautiful beachfront, Corniche they call it. Walking down the Corniche sometimes in this hot Saudi sun and just with my glasses on and shorts and walking around going, my God, is this actually happening? I couldn't actually believe that I was in Saudi Arabia. It was just unbelievable to me, because from where my environment had been and on such a downer and not having anything to do that would really creatively fulfill me, and also, you know, having gone through the divorce and financial troubles, and suddenly to be in Saudi and have all these options, and the Saudi film industry, it was just starting. So it was just kicking off. So it was a beautiful time to be there. And like I say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners, because here's the other thing. Can I tell you something deep?
Go on.
You mentioned Model Mosque.
Yeah.
I did Model Mosque, right? No, not someone else. I did it. I came out of that concept. I made mosques, right? When I finished Model Mosque, as I said, it had a lot of success, a lot of media attention on it. It was mentioned on Newsnight, it was mentioned in Parliament. So many big things happened off the back of that show. I thought at the time, wow, this is an end in itself, a success in itself. But I didn't realize that was just a training. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this is my view. Okay, you can disagree with me. This is my belief, and I believe this. And you hear sincerity in my voice. I'm telling you this. I believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Model Mosque to me and said, here, practice shooting mosques. Get good at shooting mosques. Become an expert in shooting mosques, because I am preparing you to shoot something in the biggest mosque of all, the most important mosque of all, in the Masjid Al-Haram in Mecca. This is a training for you. And now I just see it all as one big journey. I don't see Model Mosque disconnected from one day in the Haram. I see them as part of the same journey. That was just going to naturally lead me to this. And, look at what Allah does.
Subhanallah. You mentioned divorce. I don't want to talk. I don't want it to sound like as if it's some sort of a gossip show or something. But I want to come from the angle of challenge, because we all go through our challenges, and everyone talks about the good stuff, the fun stuff.
Yeah. Like Instagram.
Hey, man, exactly.
Have some fun stuff. Look at my Instagram.
Talk to me about like mentally what was happening to you at that time, because as you said, like I wouldn't wish that on any man or woman, because it's not a nice thing to go through. I haven't been through it, and I hope I don't. Yeah. Inshallah. But what was happening in your life at that time?
I mean, everything's just uprooted. Everything's turned on its head. Everything that you thought was your security, your person. And remember, when we go into marriage as Muslims, we're like, this is my partner for life. Yeah. This is the person I'm going to be. You don't have any other expectation. So when that switches, it's just such a disconnect from yourself. You're like, subhanAllah, I failed at this.
You made yourself believe certain thing, or believe in a certain way.
That was your whole life, and your wife's voice becomes another voice in your head. That's like the voice that you've always talked to for X amount of many years, and you've built dreams with, and you've built hopes with, and you've built a future with, and all these things. So when it gets taken away and it crumples for whatever reason, and suddenly that's at an end, you're almost like lost. I felt lost at the time after my divorce. I didn't know which way to go, and alhamdulillah, lucky I had a good support network. Even though I had a good support network, they were there, and that meant a lot. They couldn't actually help me. They couldn't actually get to how I was feeling, because no one had actually gone through it. And I think even people who have gone through it, they can understand on general terms, but everyone's divorce is unique, or there's unique parts of it that are specific to them. So it was just a very challenging time. But, like I say, when you come back for it again, I always thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. Yeah. So I think, and from that divorce, I think that's where I gained a lot of strength. I went to Umrah after that divorce. Immediately after divorce, first thing I went to Umrah, and I could never have imagined that I went to Umrah. I prayed to Allah subhanahu to make everything better for me. And this is in between, like from so after the divorce, went to Umrah, and before I'd gone to Saudi work-wise, right? I'd gone to Umrah just off my own back. I seen the Kaaba for the first time. I had this amazing experience at Umrah.
How old? What age are you at that time?
I'm probably around 34, 35 at this time. It was just, a mind opener for me, because at that time I learned to rely on Allah. Because everything is, they like to say, you strip everything away from someone and all they've got left is to rely on Allah. So I was relying on Allah, and I was just so happy that I came out of that Umrah thinking, you know what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got me. I don't need to worry. People shouldn't worry so much about things. I'm not saying people shouldn't work on things, but people shouldn't worry about so much things. It's like, where is your yaqeen, like your belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got you, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't test you with more than you can bear, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always be there for you. Where is this? I think for me at least, I always believed these things, or said I believed them, but did I really feel them inside? I don't think I did until I went to that Umrah, and until I felt the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in helping me recover from that divorce and become myself again, Because I think in a divorce you lose yourself in a way. You lose aspects of your personality, because that personality is built with that person. You're shaping each other together. So that person gets taken away, that's like losing a part of your personality, and that's very difficult to comprehend, So again, all blessings, alhamdulillah. When I say alhamdulillah now, I say it with full conviction. I actually mean it. A lot of people just say alhamdulillah, you got to say it. It's like, say, I actually mean it, alhamdulillah, for everything. The other day, just yesterday, 2 days ago, someone scratched up my car from one end, from the tail light to the front light. Can you scratched it? I saw it. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, it's
It,
inbuilt
it
now.
sounds like, mashallah, you loved Bobby quite a lot. I mean, we all should, but it's the way you're speaking as if it's like something has been snatched away, it ripped away. Like,
Yeah, I don't go
what
into
does that
anything.
mean?
I don't go into anything half-hearted. So I'm a full commitment person. Like, say, even with a project, say one day in the Haram, I went full out, everything on the line for that project to make that project successful. Nothing else was on the plate. Everything else pushed away, just success. So same with the marriage. It's the same application. Like, I'm into that marriage. I'm fully into it, fully committed. I'm not, even thinking anything negative. I'm a very positive person. Yeah. My thinking is always positive. So everything for me was going to be, perfect. So I'd say, with divorce, if anyone is going through it, if you know someone going through it, make sure you're there for them, because that is a very dark time. And even if they don't say, people say, especially men, yeah, I'm fine, alhamdulillah, I'm fine. They're never fine. Be there for them, talk to them and make sure over the top. Don't think it's enough that you just called. Turn up at their house. Turn up at their house. That's what you need to do. If you're the friend or the relative of someone who is going through divorce, that's what you need to do.
That's hard, man. That's very hard.
It is what it is, and it's part of the test of the dunya. And if you're in the dunya, yeah.
What have you learnt specifically from the divorce itself? What were your key takeaways? Okay, this is what this thing means.
Difficult to say because there's such a plethora of emotions involved in that, going through that particular thing. But I think I learned how to be a good husband. I think through that process. Yeah.
Through that process,
Yeah.
after the process.
Because it's like my wife now. Because obviously, alhamdulillah, Allah allowed me to get remarried. And I've never been happier in my life, mashallah. In my personal life, I've never been happier, more content with my wife and with my... And I'm like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought this lady into my life to be with me. And so, everything I ordained to Allah's will. So, I mean, it's just incredible. But I often, when we're joking around, I often say to her, that first marriage I had, that was to prepare me for you. so I had a lot of lessons to learn, and we were pretty young and inexperienced. And I think you go to marriage, you need to have good advice around you. Marriage is a minefield as well, right?
Yeah.
So, you get these relationship gurus. I'm no relationship guru, by the way. So, else I'd be on Instagram picking up the followers, right? I'm not like that. But what I would say is you have to work at marriage every
What's
day.
one thing that
Now I work deliberately on my marriage. I do things deliberately.
What do you do differently now?
I clean the house. Yeah, I help her because I know that our Nabi Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to help his wife. You see my knowledge increase, so therefore I increased as a person. So I try and imitate him. So if I see my wife is upstairs with the kids, I'll quickly clean all the house. So she comes down and she's surprised that the house is she's like, wow, and I'll do it quick. Like you might spend an hour, 2 hours. I'll do it in 30 minutes. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Quick batch. So I think in these ways it improved me, and I think in these ways Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught me to be humble as well. Because I tell you the other thing about divorce, it will make you humble. It'll make you very, very humble after that, and you'll thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all your blessings after that. All your blessings. Because I could, when you're down, I could never imagine I'd be back here where I am now with mashallah, a wife who's just perfect, mashallah, and two beautiful children who I couldn't be without even a single. I've cut traveling. I don't travel anymore. If someone has to pay me a lot of money to make me travel now, before I hop on a plane, in 2017, I was just flying out every month, different country. Hey, we're going to Australia. Okay, we're getting connected to South Africa. South Africa, we're going to Pakistan for a quick mission. Oh, now we're going to India. Oh, now we're going back to the UK. Oh, now we're going to Dubai. There's screenings there. Bloody, bloody, bloody. And it just would never end, But now, no, that's not on the table. That's not on the table for me to fly out. You get the film, but you don't get Abrar saying with the film. Unless you're paying a massive amount of money.
Same thing with me. Now I was telling my wife the other day, or my children, listen, there's so many places that I need to go to and I want to go to. And I feel if I was to go to those places, things would be better and, things will happen faster.
Especially business-wise,
but I don't go
right?
because I miss you guys. At the moment I leave my postcode, I'm missing you guys.
This is it. Exactly. I miss the kids too much, right? And I think I relate to that because I see your brother, Kazi, flying out all over the place. Exactly. I'm like, single dude. Single guy. Yeah. He's not going to be doing this in a few years, yeah. I think when the kids are there, then your responsibilities are different. I used to love flying out. I've been to 50-odd countries in my career. It's all work. Hardly any holidays. All work. 50 odd countries. And I think, subhanAllah, I used to love flying out and doing these adventures, I'd call them, going on an adventure to Lebanon, going on an adventure to Syria, going on an adventure there. I went to adventures all over the world. But now I'm done with adventures. I want to be at home. I want to be with my kids. I want to do my work. That's what I want to do.
Hey guys, I hope you have been enjoying today's episode of Side by Side with myself as your host, Kazi, Shafiqur, Rahman, and our guest, brother Abrar Hussain, who is a Islamic filmmaker and a producer. If you have enjoyed any part of our conversation, please do consider subscribing to our channel on the platform you are tuned into, and do share this episode around with family and friends and colleagues and associates. And with that said, let's get straight back into the show. Bro, before we move to our next question, and I promise that's the last question around that dark period of your life.
We had a lot of questions on this dark period, bro.
What do you think was the cause? Have you ever evaluated, okay, this could have caused, and this is what I could... I mean, you couldn't have done it differently because it was supposed to be and it happened, and that's the decree of Allah.
Out of respect for my ex-wife, I'll not go too much into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the cause... It's what can you say? You have to say it's ordained by Allah, even that. They say divorce is one of the things most disliked. And it's the thing that makes the devil the happiest. Yeah. So all I can say is the devil's getting happy. Never let external family get involved. That's one of my main takeaways. Never let the external family get... Because their emotions are heightened also, but they're not... They're going to have those emotions. They're going to walk away, and it's not going to affect them. Yeah. But you're left with that situation, so don't let them in. And I wasn't aware of those kind of family dynamics at that time. I'd never really paid attention.
So many nuances, right?
Yeah, so many nuances. So it's a minefield out there. But all I'd say is try not to make the devil happy. Try not to dance to his tune. Try to be aware of what's going on, and keep things between husband and wife's life should be private. Just keep it amongst yourselves, especially disagreements. Keep them amongst yourselves.
Do you think, like, and now talking on a positive note, do you think, like, they talk about communication? Is that a big thing? Like, to me, I think it is, because, like, how we understand each other is quite important, because if I'm communicating in a certain way, like to a akhi, to a brother, Abrar Hussain Bhai, like, you would understand as a man to man. But there's a transmutation happening in between where things get translated in a different way. Do you think that's something that you've also learned?
Yeah,
from your experience.
I like I say, I think everyone's experience is unique to them. I think that 100 different brothers had 100 different divorces. There's probably some common factors in there, like I say, maybe family, external involvement in the letting other people into the marriage. Marriage is sacred. Never let other people in. But aside from that, I think everyone's situation is going to be unique to themselves. You're going to learn unique lessons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching you. Now, you can either see them as lessons and you can learn from them, or you can ignore the signs, but the signs are always there.
Thank you. That's very... I mean, I did not know that we're going to be talking about
I didn't expect us to be talking about
such a topic,
this.
But I guess the topic presented itself, and I think people would appreciate, and they will probably learn from it. It's important to talk about challenges.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't think I'm the expert on that. I think there are people out there who can talk much better on this. I literally have my personal experiences, and if someone can learn from them, great. But I don't think I'm an expert.
You made you a stronger person. Yeah. That's the main thing, right?
Alhamdulillah.
And a wiser person.
Yeah,
and you clean the house, and you do before you get asked, you just do it. Put the bin away. Throw the bin away.
And another big takeaway from that. Now I can't think of any better way I'd rather spend my day than developing my 3-year-old, than teaching my 3-year-old something, like, increasing his confidence, increasing his self-awareness, increasing the way he talks, everything, every little thing. I think that's just the best use of my time.
MashaAllah.
That and work,
MashaAllah. So, someone's getting married now, or they're looking to get married, because times change, years change. I mean, what happened in 2024 may not be, I guess, relatable in 2025. We're moving at a very rapid pace in this world. What advice can you give to anyone that's looking, brother or sister, looking to get married very soon? What should they look out for?
No, I'm not sure that the times have changed, as you say. Situations and environments have changed, but I think in essence it's the same. Communication,
principles, the
communication,
fundamentals,
yeah,
yeah.
the fundamentals, they stay the same. Keep your business to yourself, keep good communication always, and don't take anything for granted. Like, you have to work at marriage is there to work at, to make it better all the time, and do lovely things for your wife that will make you feel good and make her feel good as well. And alhamdulillah, I'm not the relationship counselor, I'm really not that guy that you can speak to for advice about this, but like I say, if you just keep things fun and keep things healthy in terms of conversations with your wife, it's going to be beautiful, and just don't let the shaitan come in between you.
What you've mentioned is very profound about taking things for granted, because we do.
Easy to do, yeah.
Once things become, mundane and, it's a routine, you do take it for granted. And
Yeah.
until something hits you very hard, and then you have a week of, I don't know, anxiety or something. And it happens, right?
Yeah.
When we have trouble with our wife or spouses, that is, I guess, that tension, anxiety you don't want to go through, because it really cripples you. You can't even, if you're a creative person, I don't know how you would focus on your creativity.
No, exactly.
It drains you.
That's why I said, yeah, it drains you, and you can't be creative when you're not happy. How can you be creative when you're internally not happy as well? So yeah, to have full, I mean, now my creativity just knows no bounds. But even then, speaking about creativity, right? This is a different thing now. I live off creativity, right? That's my lifeblood, right? So this is what I do. And if I'm not, but it's like from young, like, if I go back now and I'm looking, okay, when I was in school, 6, 7, 8 years old, I was having great creative ideas back then. People will say, yeah, that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? and then just bring it forward. You're having these creative concepts, and they're being validated because so many people around the world are responding to those ideas. So that they're good ideas. I often don't know. You see, I'm not that arrogant kind of guy who'll make something, say, yeah, this is going to be a hit, like millions of people are going to watch. I just don't. You were there at the cinema that day when we launched the Medina film.
It was packed.
It was
I did
packed,
not
right?
think it was going to be packed.
That was like the first batch of screenings we did for Medina. Now, you can ask another brother of mine, Saif Adam, who was with me that day. I was just nerves on that day because I did not know if the audience is going to like this or not. I know I liked it. I knew, alhamdulillah, to my standard, this is of my standard. It's a film I've made, and it can sit comfortably with One Day in the Haram, One Night in Al-Aqsa. But I did not know. I didn't have that confidence or that arrogance, if you like, to say this is going to be a big hit. But it's only the audience, when they come and see it and then you see their reactions, that's what gives me confidence. So my confidence is related to audience confidence, and it's
So
a two-way
what was
street.
screening on that day? Was that One Day in Haram? Because I came like
Yeah,
briefly.
you saw just a little snippet of it.
Yeah.
It was actually Medina, the Enlightened City, is our latest film.
Okay,
yeah.
is that another one?
That's the trilogy now. So basically, we did One Day in the Haram, One Night in Al-Aqsa, and then we did Medina, the Enlightened City. So it's
so
a
that's
trilogy.
Medina.
It's a trilogy of films. Yeah.
Mashallah.
I mean, listen. When we did the first film, that was just a blessing. I always say in the Q&As, Allah blessed me too much by giving me one film, the honor of it. Okay, it's too much for me. I'm not worthy of that honor. And I'm not just saying that. I'm literally not worthy of such a high honor, because to me, it's a very high honor. We made the first film in history like that, and we showed it to 100 million people. Can you imagine the dawah? Can you imagine the barakah in that? 100 million people. And can you imagine the dawah involved in that? How many non-Muslims it reached? It's probably one of the greatest dawah projects ever out. There's done a huge amount of dawah without actually having someone there.
Yeah.
Right? It's incredible. It just travels and it grows by itself. So for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then to grant me Al-Aqsa as well, and then to grant me Medina as well, I'm like, why? What?
Why me? Like,
yeah,
what?
no, all the time. I mean, Kazi, that is one of the questions I ask myself.
What's it
all
called?
the
Is it
time.
imposter syndrome or something? Where you think you're not
That's
deserving
different.
of
Yeah,
something?
no, that's different. That's like you think you're not professionally capable of
Yeah.
something. I know I'm professionally capable of
Okay.
it. I mean, this is what I do, right? But this is more like spiritually.
Okay.
A spiritual imposter syndrome.
Okay.
So I'm like, but I'm not the strongest Muslim. I'm not the guy who wakes up for tahajjud every time.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy, who's at Fajr in the masjid. I'm not that guy. Surely this honor should have gone to someone like that. Why did it come to me? And then I asked this actually I was saying exactly this to a very learned friend just a couple of days ago. And he said to me, yeah, but remember, Abrar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you. He chose you, so you must have done something. You must have done. And all I can think is it was just the intention. Because if I remember back to the early days when there was nothing and there was no film, it was just a concept in my head, It was just the intention. I didn't want to go in there and, get famous off this. I don't want to go in there and make a lot of money off this. People always want to talk about the money. I wanted to go into this to show Islam, the beauty of Mecca, the beauty of the Kaaba. I want to show it to the world. That was my intention. It was a pure intention. It was a good intention. And all I can think is that I got rewarded somehow for that intention, because otherwise it's impossible to rationale why I managed to make 3 films. 1 is okay. But 3 films, a trilogy of these films, like, subhanAllah.
MashaAllah.
Incredible.
Have you seen the Zamzam well?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the Zamzam well, yeah. The underground one, yeah.
They lift the lid out. Is there a lid or how does it work? Why is
It's
it?
basically, so it was right by the Kaaba. It's just about 20 feet away from the...
Is it under Maqam Ibrahim? Like,
Yeah, on that side, yeah. It's underground, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they built that marble, the mataf that as it is now, over that. They took us from a back entrance through a lot of windy tunnels, left, right, left. We was right. I told you, we had access to every inch and corner of the Haram, which is one of the blessings of making that film, is we managed to see. So even if it wasn't on camera, it'd still be a blessing to have seen that. Went down to the Zamzam well. They even opened the cover. We looked inside, mashallah. We took photos, video of it. It was incredible.
crystal clear water, yeah?
Yeah. Crystal clear water. And we could drink it from the source, but it was way down. But they had a thing where they could lift water out of it. And there were taps on the side. You can literally open a tap and water will come straight out from there. And we was underground. And I didn't see any entrance from the top, although I'm sure there is an entrance from the top. But we didn't go that way because the mataf was packed, right? How are you going to get in that way? So we went, right around underneath through all these windy tunnels. It was incredible, the tunnels, going through there. Wow. I always seem to end up in tunnels, in windy tunnels. The other amazing windy tunnels that I went through that hardly anyone else sees is the excavation underneath Masjid Al-Aqsa. So through that entrance and watching what the people there are doing, excavating under Aqsa, and they're uncovering so many things, and they're building so many things there as well.
Wow. What was it like? Because that's one thing that really, really fascinates me, the Zamzam well. Like, it's not even that deep. And for it to produce so much water, millions and millions and millions, I don't know, maybe trillions of gallons.
Impossible. Unbelievable, miraculous. And Zamzam water in both the Mecca and Medina films has a main part of the films is on.
So it's in the film. Is that part in the film,
yeah,
like where you are seeing the
absolutely. We filmed the well and we showed where the actual well is. Although it doesn't look like, I don't know what you're imagining. What are you imagining?
I'm imagining like, you know how you have those on the road, like you have got those they come and
right, yeah, like a metal lid.
Yeah. And maybe there's pipes going down and extracting water, pumping
so there's
that water.
Definitely a lot of pipes all around it, and there's the circuit film, but it's all kind of covered in metal now. From what I remember, see, from back in the day when I was visualizing it, it was always visualized it back in the day. So like a stone kind of structure, and a circular kind of, how you think of a typical like a well would be from your imagination. But it's very different from that. It's actually, say a lot of pipes, much bigger pipes, thick pipes, smaller pipes, lots of pipes, and like a metal surface with a kind of ladder going up it, just a small ladder, like a 4 or 5 rungs on that ladder, as I remember. But filming it was one of the blessings, because I know not many people get to see the actual
that's a miracle.
Or
like you've seen the actual miracle in person. Like
the whole thing is a miracle.
Subhanallah.
The whole production, the fact that the film was even made is a miracle. Wow. I see it as now. Miracles happen every day. People who think they don't are crazy. You're crazy if you don't see miracles in this world. I see miracles happening every day. And I mean, this one was a personal one to me. And I think miracles are personal to people. I really do think that. A miracle that you're going to notice might not, I might see it and just think just another day. But to me, the making of One Day in the Haram and the way it was done and how it happened and the way it looks up on screen is just a miracle. It's just a miracle.
So when am I going to get my private viewing? I mean, I'm asking you questions. I mean, it's good that I didn't watch it,
brother.
So I can ask stupid questions.
I mean, stupid questions are stupid questions. They're all good questions, to be honest, mashallah. But no, I mean, anytime, Kazi, anytime. You're most
Where do
welcome.
I come? Your house or somewhere?
No, we'll organise something. We'll organise something for you and maybe some of your Sunnah Must team to come bring them down for a screening. Yeah, absolutely, man. We'd love to facilitate things like that.
Maybe in our office.
Yeah. Why not?
Do we need like some sort of special equipment to get all the surround sound?
Well, you won't get that unless we go to a cinema.
Okay.
But, no, we can do it. We can do it. Yeah, we do it.
Are there any viewings happening? Anything in the pipeline? Like for Medina?
Lots and lots of viewings.
Where do people find out? Like, is there a website?
We'll stop in Ramadan because we don't show films in Ramadan. We don't think that's the right thing in Ramadan. But straight after Ramadan, another huge 20 city tour coming for Medina, the Enlightened City. One Day in the Haram, we just did a deal. See, this is crazy. It's 5 years old, that film. Films normally have a lifespan of around 2 or 3 years, but even after 5 years, One Day in the Haram still doing so many deals, because the fact is this, yeah. I said a number to you earlier.
Yeah.
I said One Day in the Haram at the last count has been watched by over 100 million people, and it sounds amazing, right? Because even, people blowing up on Instagram with 1 million, 2 million views, right? And they're like, yeah, look at my 2 million views. 100 million views is not a joke, okay? But we are still just scratching the surface of the Islamic audience. So there's 2.1 billion Muslims, I think, or 2 billion. 2 billion Muslims in the world, and only 100
What
million
percent
of
is
them.
that? I'm very bad at math.
It's a low percentage. It's a low percentage. We should, I'm like, to our marketing guy, we need to do more. Why have not more people seen One Day in the Haram? Because it's become obvious every single Muslim in the world wants to see this film.
Bro,
so
there's
why
loads
are
of Muslim
why are we not facilitating
influencers.
it?
There's loads of Muslim influencers. Like, what do you want from them? If someone is watching, or if some of them are watching, what do you want them to do for you?
Hey,
how can they help you and support you?
Reach out and help. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's distribution partners who don't know the film exists. That's the problem. They don't know it exists. Remember, everything we've achieved is organic. This 100 million is organic. We didn't do any marketing. All the marketing is what you see clips coming out on Instagram or something like that. We didn't do a marketing campaign. Normally, any film that Hollywood produces films. Any film Hollywood produces has got at least like a £10 million budget just for marketing. Just for marketing. Now, say your overall budget of your film is much less. Say you've got a budget of just 1 million. It's a low budget film, right? Even if it's got a budget of 1 million, it's still going to have something like 150k of that 1 million is going to go for marketing, because they know how important this is. We've never done marketing.
I mean, if people don't know about it, then how would they watch it?
And this is where things are changing, and this is where we're still evolving. So we got the product. We know, okay, here's the product. Now, we're working on another film now. Groundbreaking concept, okay? The kind of concept that could potentially change everything in the Islamic film landscape, right? It's such an amazing project. I've kept it close to me like this for so many years now. And, strong partners, like the strongest partners you can imagine involved in this. Now, with this film, because we've learned through what we've done, now we know it will hit we know it will hit the Muslim audience, right? But we want it to go much further. We want it to go to countries where we can't even speak the language, or we don't even know those countries exist. We want to translate it into 60 different languages and make sure it's distributed properly, and make sure there's a proper marketing campaign over it. I think this is where Muslims need to get more professional in the film sphere, because we are seriously lacking in this sphere, right? It was seriously
honestly,
lacking. And it's an important thing.
I wish Allah makes me a multi-billionaire one day, and then I can, invest. Because you have to invest in films. It's not a charity. It doesn't happen for free.
No.
Like, you're talking about Hollywood movie, hundreds of millions of pounds that investors invest.
And look at the last film, a positive film that Hollywood made on Muslims. Do you know what it was?
No.
The Message.
Yeah,
The
I was going to ask you, what would it cost to remake this?
Okay,
the Message.
The Message. Hold that thought for a minute. The Message was made 40 years ago. Since then, we've not had another film that is actually about Muslims, or has got a Muslim main character that's a positive main character, right? I think from The Message, the next successful film probably is One Day in the Haram. Like, there's been nothing in between that has been on cinemas, that has done the cinema thing and wowed audiences like that. We really need to start combating some of what's happening, because maybe people, like I say this, people are combating the bad in this world in every single angle. You're a businessman, okay? Another guy's an artist here. Another guy's a singer. Another guy's a poet. Another guy's a filmmaker. Everyone wants to combat this thing that is attacking Islam, that is demonizing Islam, that is causing Islamophobia, that is causing so much pain and misery all over the world. And I think you know what I'm talking about, right? All over the world, and literally to the point where you're just killing Muslims, and you're thinking nothing of it, because you've been conditioned to think these people are not even human. And what is that? That's media and marketing. That's all that is. And what is film? Media and marketing. So people have got to understand the importance and how related these things are. Yes, it's not news, but film is very, very important. Can I tell you about the last two films I watched? Just very briefly. The Brutalist. Ever heard of it? Okay. It's going to win the Oscar this year. And Adrian Brody, the guy who stars in this film, The Brutalist, is going to win the Oscar for Best Actor this year. What's that film about? The Jewish experience. The Jewish experience. Okay. What's another film I watched recently? Real Pain. What's it about? Who's starring in it? Jesse Eisenberg, right? Jesse Eisenberg. Enough said. It's about the Jewish experience. This film, get this, yeah, for a Hollywood plot, yeah. These are big Hollywood films. Like, these are big, big, big films about the Jewish experience. Why haven't we got any films about the Muslim experience? That's the first question. Okay. Second question is, if you analyze these films, watch Real Pain, yeah, they're literally taking you on a tour of Auschwitz. So they're literally going to the Holocaust. They're saying, oh, look at this place. And that's part of the plot. And the plot has been organized like that to basically, extract as much sympathy for the Jewish experience, the Jewish immigrant experience, as possible through these films. The Brutalist is going to clear up at the Oscars. I'll guarantee it. I hope I'm wrong, but I guarantee it will. And the thing is, technically, it's a great film. Great sound mix on that is amazing. Great acting, no doubt. Everything about it. And I'm not dissing the films. I'm not dissing the Jewish experience either. I'm saying that's great. They've got that Jewish experience. Great. Promote it out to millions of people. Make it part of the furniture, right? But all I'm saying is, don't look at them. Don't look at what they're doing. But what are we doing? Where's our Muslim experience?
It's not even on the agenda.
Where is even our Muslim thriller, our Muslim comedy, our Muslim spy film, our Muslim war film, our Muslim Western? Where are these films? We haven't even got a single genre film out there. We've got nothing, zero level. So, this is where we're at. And this is where people need to come to a realization and club together and start creating funds available for Muslim filmmakers to create the Muslim experience so that people can start having a balance.
Bro, you can't use music though.
Hey, so what if you can't use music? So what if you can't? What is that a drawback? That's not a drawback. That's not a drawback. If you're creative, you'll get over that. No problem. Listen, we are Muslims. Here's the thing, yeah. Muslim creativity is in a box. Yeah, there's a box, yeah, and that box is actually our boundary. We can't step out of that boundary. If you step out of that boundary, then you might as well just be mainstream.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're not Muslim anymore.
Yeah.
You're not a Muslim filmmaker anymore. It's like some guys like, I don't know, Mo Amir, great, mashallah. I'm happy he's up on there. I'm happy that that's there. I wouldn't not want that to be there because that would be a detriment to us if that wasn't there because it's hitting a certain note. But in terms of Muslim comedy, you can't say people like Dave Chappelle and these are really Muslim comedians or whatever because they're just basically same as mainstream. They're effing, they're blinding, they're swearing, they're sex jokes, they're everything else. We have a duty as Muslims. If you're going to be a Muslim creative in the true sense, you're going to stay within the boundary that Islam has given you. So that's your boundary. They're your restrictions. You just have to be more creative. You just have to be over creative to get over those boundaries. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's very, very important as well, that the films that are coming out are going to be authentic Muslim experience films.
To remake something like Message with the help now you've got so much AI and animation.
But you don't want to
so
use
much
AI,
you can do. So much you can do with animation, Pixar, and all of that. What if there was a hybrid movie? And how much would it cost? Because to replicate a war scene is quite costly.
I mean, firstly,
right?
like you wouldn't want to make these cheap films off AI because that's what AI is, just cheapening everything, right? And at the moment it's not there, but it will be there. Obviously, there's nothing stopping AI.
There are like Marvel movies and Disney films that are like.
Oh my God!
Like
Did you just
animation.
say Disney to me?
Yeah.
Look, Disney. I mean, look at Disney. Yeah. I mean, let's just talk about
People
Disney.
are going crazy.
Yeah.
They're still going crazy.
Let's
over
talk
it.
about Disney for a minute,
Yeah.
okay? I remember we did the Balance premiere, a film I did, The Balance, about the Islamic entertainment industry, okay? We did the Balance premiere. We did it at the BAFTA building in Piccadilly. Amazing premiere, right? I had this amazing film about Muslim creativity. I made a film about Muslim creativity, right? We did this film, and one of the audience in the Q&A puts their hands up. We're all there on the platform, me and like all these influencers and musicians and people who are involved in the film. And they say, oh, what did you think about what Disney had just released at that moment, which was Miss Marvel? You remember Miss Marvel? Do you remember it came out, the Asian superhero? Yeah, you remember? So when that film came out, Muslims were basically, I was looking at the comments on their release, and I saw Muslims at the premiere, and they're going, oh, this is amazing. Like, we're in the mainstream now. These guys, Disney is really representing us and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hold on a minute. Guys, don't just give everything to them so easily. Like, just hold back a little bit. So when they asked me, I was like, I'm not jumping up and down about Miss Marvel. I want to see what they do with this. Where do they go with this? Because I essentially don't trust them that openly, If they're trying to do something good, that's amazing. More than welcome, We love that, That's something, if that is something for us. But I didn't feel like that they built on that at all. And if you look at this latest Marvel movie, Disney owns Marvel, by the way. So Disney bought Marvel out, and now Disney has a character in the latest movie that's on cinemas right now, the Captain America, with the Red Hulk in it, right? You must have seen that. It's on all the buses right now. Trailer. That Red Hulk also has a character in it called, was it Shabra? Sabra, and she's a Mossad agent, a Mossad agent
Mm.
in a Marvel movie. Why is that? Can anyone explain it? Like, so I just went off that whole thing, and I've rejected anything Disney now. I won't watch it on principle. It's like this, if you're not going to eat Israeli dates, or you're going to not drink Coke anymore, or you're not going to go to Starbucks anymore, because we all do that, right? And no one wants to be seen in McDonald's now, because that's almost like a blasphemy for a Muslim to be seen in a McDonald's now, yeah? But it's the same with watching a Disney movie. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying it's so important. It goes back to my point. We have to make our own movies more now than ever. More now
Who's
than
gonna
ever,
take the
because
lead?
they
Who's
are
gonna take the
actively.
lead? Who's gonna do it?
Well, I will do it if someone funds it. Our problem is not in the ideas. It's not in the creativity. It's not in even the infrastructure. Our problem is in the funding of these things. People would rather fund buildings than fund Islamic movie industry, But we need some big people.
Can
to
someone
come
make
together.
money from such a movie? Because
Of course. Why wouldn't you? Listen, there's going to be a tipping point. I predict it. I probably won't be here when that happens. Like I might be dead and long gone, but the movies will live on. The movies will be there. One day in the Haram, one night in Al-Aqsa, and Medina, the Enlightened City. That's my legacy. That's what I'm leaving here in the world, right? I want people to build on this. Like, this is my biggest dream now, is just to help the whole industry to raise like Islamic filmmaking, right? But not just like films like this that are deeply films about our experience, the Islamic experience. That's what we need to get onto screen, and people need to fund it. So yeah, calling out all those big hitters and all those big guys involved in business and charity and commerce and all these amazing things that Muslims pioneers are doing. Invest in the Islamic film industry, because we need this, and we are getting we're out there on a playing field which is just not even at the moment, because we have no control over it, and our narrative is being told for us. We're being portrayed how they want to portray us. And no one's being exposed to the real Muslim experience.
I'm sure you've got hundreds and hundreds of ideas of movies.
I don't
and
think concepts are not an issue. Yeah.
Imagine there's an investor that's watching us right now.
Yeah.
And you wanted to make one of those movies from your hundreds of titles or concepts.
Yeah.
How much would it cost? And how would the financials work?
See, it's very difficult when someone says, how much will it cost? Okay, because obviously that does depend on the script, and that does depend on how
Let's
big
say
you want to go.
all out. Like, we want to go Hollywood level. Like, we're not cutting back.
If you want to go Hollywood level, you're looking. I mean, Hollywood level. Who's talking about Hollywood level? I mean, I'm not talking about making something. We need to start this industry small and have successes. The way you make a low budget film, and when I say low budget, I mean £1 million.
Okay,
that's low budget.
Okay.
Yeah, people think low budget is free. No, low budget is 1 million. If you tell me to make a movie for you for £1 million, that's a low budget movie, and that movie has to punch above its weight. But that movie could return 100 million at the box office quite easily. Yeah, it's to happen before. You know which film it happened with? Good Will Hunting. Good Will Hunting was a very low budget movie, but they managed to get Robbie Williams in there. There were two unknown actors in that, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. There were two unknown actors who wrote that script. They wrote that script, and they said, we're going to star in the film as well. They said, all right, but you're not names. No one knows you. So we need to get an actor in there. So they got Robin Williams in there, who was a great actor. And obviously the combination of their fresh original writing and these two young guys and this nuanced actor who was an Oscar winner and a fan favorite just propelled that movie into super league where it's just making millions and millions and millions of pounds on a very low budget. But low budget, 1 million, okay, could return you up to 100 million. A medium budget film, 7 million. Okay, but I'd say if you want to make a film that is gonna be able to compete with Hollywood, the minimum you're looking at, because those films go up to 100 million, 150 million, 200 million, and you look at Marvel movies, that's the top of the range. Those movies go into hundreds and hundreds of millions. Okay, but looking at a reasonable sized budget movie, 7 to 10 million is what would be the equivalent of looking at something that Hollywood made. But with 1 million, with the right director and the right script, you can punch above your weight. And you can make an impression, and that's what we need to do, because we're right at the beginning of it. We can't go to investors and say, "Hey, give me 10 million to make a film." No, get 1 million and show them success. Then 10 investors will come, and you'll be able to make the bigger films.
A lot of us, we watch movies based on a character or an actor. Like, say, get Kevin Hart. When I'm going on Netflix, I'm looking for Kevin Hart. Like, what?
Oh, you like Kevin Hart? Yeah?
Yeah.
You like comedy, huh?
Yeah. I like funny stuff.
Yeah.
Or factual stuff. So something that will really educate me on something.
Sure.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So if you were to handpick characters, doesn't matter Hollywood or Bollywood or wherever they're from, who would you bring to your movie?
What actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, difficult question because there's not very many actors, but one person, Mark Ruffalo, springs to mind. The Hulk. Yeah, I'd probably bring him. Yeah, I'd probably that guy who's the rapper Macklemore. I'd pull him in. I'd say, hey, have you ever considered acting? Get into this film, bro. I'd give him a platform for sure. I mean, there's a bunch of others.
Okay,
Like,
if it was a film where with Kevin Hart in it, what kind of Islamic movie can we expect?
I wouldn't make a film with Kevin Hart in it, to be honest.
Okay.
To be honest. Because Kevin Hart, there are certain, you need to look into him.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, he's a funny guy. You like
Yeah.
Kevin Hart. You know, if you're going to put him into film, just a very light-hearted, film of Kevin Hart converting to Islam or something like that. But, like I say, I'd be very, very careful with even putting someone like Kevin Hart into an Islamic film. I'm very protective of
Okay.
Islamic film.
Okay.
I don't want anyone in there who's got any tarnish to their reputation, because all that's going to happen, that's going to blow up down the line. When some scandal of him comes out, and he becomes the next P. Diddy or
True.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Who knows? Not saying
Yeah.
he is, okay. Not saying that he is, but what if? Okay, and there is some bad press about Kevin Hart. There's a lot of people saying, how come he came up so fast? Why did he come up so
What
fast?
about Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp, again, look at the thing with Amber Heard. I wouldn't...
Like
I wouldn't-
he cleared his name, right?
he cleared his name. I suppose, yeah. You have
Look,
to treat him
everyone
innocent.
has a dark side.
Ev-
Like Muslim
but
or
you're
non-Muslim.
why are you talking about mainstream actors to me? Why does it have to be mainstream? Why does it have to be any
because
part of that
that's
machinery?
what we've been introduced to, and that's what we recognize.
Okay, that is true. That is true. When they make
You
the
can-
message...
English
Yeah.
music, you go even in Bangladesh, they're still playing English music.
I
The
hear
influence,
it. I hear
you
it.
can see that.
I hear what you're saying. I do, because when they made the message, they took the biggest stars of that
Anthony
era.
Quinn
Anthony Quinn
and,
was a huge star
yeah,
at that time.
yeah.
That was like having major. And I'm sure there are a plethora of. There's a note in Hollywood. Okay, there's a list that actors sign saying we condemn the genocide in Gaza, signed by these celebrities. They're the ones I'd get in the movies,
So
and they're big names as well.
okay, no
They're big names.
no genocidal actors you would get.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, I mean the ones that boycott, the ones that
Yeah.
say no genocide.
Yeah.
No to genocide.
The ones who basically signed that agreement, that was from the Hollywood elites, basically. They signed these agreement saying, it was a whole massive thing. All this, so many things were coming out at that time that I can't remember what the name of that agreement was or what it was. But it's basically a bunch of screenwriters, directors, and stars who basically signed this. And it was led by Mark Ruffalo, other people involved. I think Sean Penn was one of them. I think Susan Sarandon was one of them. I think there were many others. These people I would put into
If
the
you were
Islamic
to
movement.
hire a director, like
Yeah.
imagine you've said, I'm going to take a back seat and I'm going to manage all the funding side of things. I'm going to hire a director to direct this film. Who would it be?
I mean, are you essentially asking who my favorite directors are?
It could be anyone. Like you've got an idea. You want them.
Yeah.
You want to execute that film and you want to bring it to life. Who would be that?
There's so many good directors out there who could do the job. I would definitely say Martin Scorsese, because Martin Scorsese is basically the greatest living director. A favorite of mine. I
His
grew up
name
with films.
sounds like a bit foreign. Like where is he
Martin
from?
Scorsese. He's Italian American.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did Goodfellas, he did Raging Bull, he
Okay.
did Taxi Driver back in the day, and just recently he started working with Leonardo DiCaprio a lot. So he did The Departed, he did one, The Killers of the Flower Moon. These are more recent films, but he did Gangs of New York. He did some big
Okay,
films.
so you would
he would
get
be a
him.
great guy. He also did, interestingly enough, The Last Temptation of Christ. Yes, he made a film on the life of Jesus, Hazrat Isa al-Islam, which brings me to another very important point. How many films on Jesus are there out there in Hollywood? At least 100 films on the life of Hazrat Isa al-Islam. Why are there no films on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Why is there only The Message and I think one other Iranian film, or maybe 2 Iranian films that made 3 films in the last 40 years? We need to change this. This is, you see,
And
what I'm
now
saying?
there's a
We
rise
need
of
to change
Moses,
things.
Musa alayhi salam. Like on Netflix, there's I've recently watched something to do with Musa
Why is
alayhi
this?
salam.
And why is Musa on
And
there?
the
Why
way
is
they've
Musa-
the way they've narrated the story is also favoring the
Of course.
Jewish,
Why
Israeli,
wouldn't
the
it be?
Zionism
It's their industry.
agenda.
It belongs to them. They're going to do that. It's their industry. That's what I'm saying. We need to create our own industry. People need to invest in the infrastructure. We need to get this going. There's producers and directors out there. There's even actors out there. But, we need funds. It needs investment, like some serious investment. But it needs to start somewhere. One breakout hit will change everything. Once there is a Muslim-led hit, and when I say hit, I mean a film that's turned over 100 million plus, people are going to start taking notice.
But
And
by-
soon you're going to see
by-
a lot more Islamic movies. Until someone, listen, until I did One Day in the Haram, no one believed that an Islamic thing that is so Islamic-centered can it be successful, can be on cinemas all over the world. No one thought that possible. We made that possible. And I'm saying to you now, If someone invests in Islamic feature film and it becomes a hit, it's going to change everything. Because
How are you
suddenly
going to
there'll be
distribute it
more
though?
and more
Because
and more
like
films.
if everything is in their hands, and if something is positive PR to Muslims,
Well, this is
is
the
it in
good
their
thing.
best interest to then?
See, this is the good thing. Hollywood is not inherently racist against Muslims, okay? It has these tendencies. But the one thing that can combat that is money. Their language is money. Their language is not Muslim or Jewish or Christian or anything else. Their language is money. Mel Gibson made a film, The Last Passion of Christ, another film a mainstream director made about the life of Hazrat Isa al-Islam. When he made this film, he went to all those Jewish studios in Hollywood, one by one, knocked on all their doors, and they said, Mel, get the hell out of here. We're not going to allow you to make a film that makes Jews look bad and make it look like we killed Jesus. we're not funding that film, which is obvious, right? So they wouldn't fund that film. Everyone turned him down. So what did Mel do? Mel Gibson turned around and used his own money, which is unheard of. No one uses their own money to fund a film. He used his own money to make a £200 million film that could have been the biggest flop of all time. But instead, when that film was released, it became the most successful non-English language film of all time. It became the most successful religious film of all time. Do you understand what I'm saying? The impact that film had was incredible because he had the faith to do it. He had the money, and he was a powerhouse. He had the money himself. No one would give the money. That's exactly the position we're in now. No one's giving the money. But if someone does raise the money, if that money comes together and you make that breakout hit, as I say, it's going to change everything because people are fickle. People are fickle. Our audiences are fickle. They don't believe. They don't have belief. You have to show them before they'll have belief. If I told you 5 years ago I'm going to make a film, I'm going to call it, it's going to be about the Haram in Mecca, and I'm going to put it on cinemas in multiple countries around the world, and all these screenings, they're all going to be sold out, and it's going to go on TV stations, and it's going to go on airlines, it's going to go, it's going to have this massive success all over the world, you would have probably laughed at me. People in the UK did laugh at me before. You know what I mean? It was impossible to get any budgets. Impossible. Now it's easy to get budgets for films like One Day in the Haram. Easily get the budget, because we only need 300 grand
It's
to make it.
interesting. The money is there, bro. Like people
Like I said
are
to you.
investing in films. And when I was looking at who backed Wolf of Wall Street, I'm sure I saw Malaysians, some billionaires from Malaysia, Muslim investors.
You probably did. Yeah, you probably did. I'm sure that a lot of them are investing in Hollywood films and surefire successes with those mainstream actors because film is a good investment. Film is a good investment. People always need entertainment. People are always going to be. Our trick is obviously as Muslim filmmakers, again, comes back to that boundary that we work in. We don't have to just make something entertaining. That's the minimum of what we have to do. We also have to make something beneficial. We have to make it knowledgeable. So we have to transfer this knowledge. That's part of our responsibility as Islamic creatives. We can't just make things that are entertaining. It has to tick the other boxes as well. It has to be beneficial. It has to be a goodness, spreading a goodness in the world. So it's very difficult to balance all of these things. But mashallah, it can be done. And when it is done right, I think it can just be extraordinary. There's a lot of films out there, Hollywood films that have hit these buttons that are both entertaining and spread a positive message as well. Positive message films. So that's what essentially the Islamic film industry would be.
Do you think there will be a tipping point at some point where they will say, you know what, like we're done with this whole attacking Muslims. Now we need to change the tide.
Yeah, when the world ends.
And we're going to try and spin it around.
That will happen when the world ends, yeah? When the world ends, maybe that way, in the next life, I mean, yeah?
Oh, shit.
As in what I'm trying to say is that's impossible. That is never going to happen.
No?
Get that out of your head. That will
It's not
never
gonna
happen.
happen.
Never happen. Never happen. Never in a million years will they turn around and say, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's let these Muslims back in because these guys are all right. That's not going to happen. That
What's the
time is
hatred
gone.
about?
Yeah, we need to set up our own industry.
Yeah.
We need to be independent. We can't.
They will not narrate
we
our
can't-
story
you
the
know,
way the way it needs
this
to be.
infrastructure that has oppressed us and demonized us for so many years is not going to be the same infrastructure or the Hollywood machinery that is going to allow us to make Muslim films. It's not. It's going to be it's going to be something different. So I think we have to set up our own, and we've set up our own streaming platforms. We have to support them. I'm a member of Asab. Yeah, I'm one of the original founding members.
Yeah, you need to go.
Of
You
Asab.
said an alarm. You need to go.
That's an alarm. That's actually for my car that got scratched the other day. It's we've set up Asab, Muslim streaming service. Okay, it's got like something like 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
We need to get that up to like 50,000, 100,000,
Yeah.
200,000 subscribers. But we need to support
Asab.
these Asab. Yeah, we need to support these platforms for sure. And then we also need to support the Islamic film industry because the apparatus that oppressed us, Hollywood, essentially, is not going to be the one that's going to support us in years to come. And if they are, it's just going to be an exploitative take, like the way Miss Marvel was essentially trying to exploit the Muslim audience. Say, hey, let's throw them a little bone. And some of the Muslims going, yay, look, we're represented.
Representation.
But
No,
that's
it's
why I was
not.
saying
No,
at that
it's
time,
not.
if you look at that Q&A at the balance, I was literally saying this. I was like, hang on a minute. Hollywood is not, Disney is not actually to be trusted. Look at what they've done in the past. They were like some real racist kind of organization in the past. Like, what, are we just meant to jump up and down because they've thrown us a bone with Miss Marvel? We don't even know how this character is going to be portrayed yet. Is she going to lose her hijab? Is she going to get a boyfriend and suddenly now she's an acceptable Muslim character? That's not authentic Islamic experience.
Are
That's
we
not
too naive?
Authentic. Yes, we are too naive. Absolutely, 100%. Our audience is too naive. Because they're so starved of entertainment. When the mainstream throws them a little bone, they're like, hey man, look at this is amazing. It's actually not that amazing. It's like a token thing, and we really need to establish I've said it like 10 times now, we need to establish our own film industry. Only
It's like
then will we be
that
taken
diversity thing. Like Muslims are used on photography just to kind of tick that box of diversity, right? Like, we're inclusive, but in reality, if they had the choice, maybe they wouldn't. This whole token gesture, including a Muslim hijabi and a Muslim face on billboards by companies and corporates to show inclusivity. I mean, if they had the choice, would they have done it? I don't know if they would.
This is, with that, I think we mentioned earlier, I just love our audience, because I love Muslims. I love us, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to see us exploited. I don't want to see us used. I don't want to see us made to look stupid. I don't want to see any of that. So I just want the audience needs to be more savvy. And I think what's happened over this last 12, 13, 14 months, right? I think this has made Muslims a lot more clued up. It's shown them, okay, look what's happening closely. That's what I'm saying. Look, these films, you wouldn't normally know. The Brutalist, the film I mentioned earlier, Real Pain. These are films that are exploiting that gap, that are literally pushing an agenda, These are coming out of Hollywood, and our Muslim audiences might be going to these films and watching them. We need to stop supporting them. We need to stop supporting Disney. I mean, I'm not calling for a boycott of Disney, but hey, let's boycott Disney.
I'm not calling for boycott, but let's boycott.
Because they don't do anything for us, and they try and use us. They try and use and you know what they're attracted to? It's not Muslims they're attracted to; it's the Muslim dollar they're attracted to. Because we are a powerful economic force.
Exactly.
We are a powerful economic force, and they want some of that.
Exactly.
And instead of doing that, we need to, as I say, keep saying we need to set up our own industry.
Exactly, brother Abrar. There's so much that we can talk about, and I guess
I want to hear some of your journey as well, man.
Bro, that's another episode.
You need to go on a podcast yourself.
Inshallah, when like I said, if our audience make dua for me, and one day I become a billionaire, I can invest in these films, and that's what I want to do. Like I want to, because how much are you gonna eat? Like, okay, once you're comfortable, once you're independent, okay, you've eaten, your belly's fed, your family's looked after, you're living comfortably. Like, what else are you going to do with the money? Like, if you're like someone like Elon Musk, I mean, I never want to be like Elon Musk. I don't want to have that kind of money. But right now, we need surplus money to throw at projects like films.
We've got those billionaires here in the UK, and some of them are Muslim. I read a story about two brothers who buyed up all the Asdas, started buying petrol stations, right? Where are these brothers? Can I meet them? I've got a film to pitch them, I would literally pitch them a film, and they would literally invest as well, because they would see business sense in it.
Let's try and find a contact that will...
absolutely. I'm all for that, because I think unless we strive, unless we try, unless we have these big ideas that say, okay, this sounds impossible to do, but actually we can do this, and have someone who believes in it, then inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make all things happen. That's one thing I learned from going back to my first film, One Day in the Haram, sitting in a bubble in Haram, in Mecca. It's impossible to do, but Allah makes the impossible possible normally. And if you're a person of yaqeen, if you're a person of belief, then this is what drives you. And I'm comfortable in that knowledge, and I know that it will happen, inshallah.
Amazing, brother Abrar. We can go on forever, but we've literally run out of time. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you and learning about you as a person, your challenges and your aspirations as well. And I hope our viewers would enjoy this episode. I hope they have enjoyed, and I hope they will subscribe, I suppose. And because that really
your
keeps...
podcast channel. Let me just say to you, you're doing a fantastic job. I actually, just before I came on here, I looked at your podcast, and I didn't realize I thought you'd done 5 or 6 episodes. You've done so many episodes.
Yeah, we've done 83.
There's so many like cool people on here. Like you had like Dilly Hussain on here. I think, who's the other one? I watched a snatch of another one. I think it was the Dawa person, I forget his name.
Ali Dawa.
Ali Dawa was on here, yeah. You had like a number of like really cool people. So alhamdulillah, you're doing really good, and I think we need podcasts like this, have actually serious chats about the Muslim experience.
100%.
That's essentially what we're talking about
100%, and
today
this is still in media space. This is
exactly
an extension of I guess media and controlling the narrative, or narrating our own narrative in our own way.
Absolutely.
So
I like that.
Yeah, I hope you guys will subscribe, because Your subscription means so much to me and the team and our guests. I mean, the more subscribers we have, the bigger the guests. And I'm sure maybe we can speak to Isa Brothers and say, hey, you know, have you ever considered investing in films?
Is that their name? Isa Brothers?
Yeah.
That's a nice name.
Yeah. Before we finish, we're completely out of time. Where can people find more about you and the work you do and your schedules and upcoming shows?
Absolutely, yeah. Everything's listed on our website, www.redfacefilms.com, and also on my Instagram page. I'm normally posting there whenever there's showings or screenings. And yeah, I just want to say to your audience, as a sneak, we have got something amazing coming out. And we did Haram, Aqsa and Medina, and everyone's asking me what's next, but I can't reveal it yet. So it's almost going to be revealed. But like I say, we've got an amazing concept that is really going to change the landscape, I feel. And so inshallah, this project
we want this trailer.
And you, our brother, are going to be invited to the premiere, because I know you didn't come to that BAFTA one, but you'll definitely come to the next one.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for having me, brother.
And that's it for today on Side by Side. I hope you have enjoyed this conversation as well as I have. I really have enjoyed this conversation. I know I always say this, but trust me, I have. And if you have too, please do share it around with family, friends, colleagues, associates, acquaintances, and wherever you can, please spread the word of Side by Side podcast. It's here to narrate our stories, your stories, in our own way. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And with that said, I will reunite with you on our next episode. Assalamu alaikum.